Hi friends, welcome back to Moody Blooms. I'm Mary Ellen and today we're going to build a terrarium. This company Ferrisland reached out to me and wanted to send me one of their beautiful terrariums, and they're also going to give all of my viewers 20% off any of their terrariums on their website. So stay tuned for more info on that below. So let's go ahead and get this unboxed and we'll get those terrariums all set up and let's get started. Now let's go ahead and get this opened up. A terrarium is a fun and easy way to incorporate plants into your decor with minimal maintenance. Air plants, cacti, and succulents are perfect low-maintenance choices for terrariums. Ferrisland offers free shipping in the US, and it takes about 3 to 7 business days. All right, let's check out what's inside. So what exactly is a terrarium? Well, it can be a small collection of plants growing in a transparent sealed container. The water in the terrarium is constantly recycled, passing from liquid form to gas and back again. As the moisture in the air condenses on the glass walls, it returns to the soil and is absorbed by the plant's roots. It's packaged really well. This particular glass house terrarium is 8.3 inches by 4.7 inches by 5.5 inches, and it weighs about 2.4 pounds. Super cute, has a lid. So how exactly do these terrariums work, you might ask? Well, terrariums are indoor gardens, typically in a sealed container. Not always, but generally a terrarium is actually a sealed container. The plants and soil in the terrarium release water vapor, essentially recycling water. The vapor is then collected into the walls of the vessel and trickles down into the soil. For this particular terrarium, we're gonna need some pea gravel, activated charcoal, some succulent soil or any well-draining soil. Seems look pretty good. And an optional item would be some river rocks or some additional moss for the top. All right, let's get started. To make your terrarium, start with a large glass jar, dish, or other container. I'm of course going to use this beautiful terrarium from Ferrisland. Now you may want to choose something that's large enough to put your hand in. To start, we're going to put 1 to 2 inches of pea gravel pebbles into the bottom of the clean container for proper drainage. Now to maintain this terrarium, you're going to want to make sure that you open the cover, if it is a covered closed terrarium, once a month to let fresh air in. Next, we're going to add activated charcoal to help purify any excess water, absorb toxins, and smelly odors. This is especially important if you're making a closed container terrarium, as the charcoal will filter the air and keep it fresh. I get a lot of questions on what particular charcoal should be used for terrariums, and this is of course an optional step, but I highly recommend it if you are going to use a closed lid terrarium. The charcoal helps with humidity and funky smells. Charcoal can also have amazing benefits for plants, and there's different types which have different uses. It can be hard to know which charcoal is best to use for your specific needs. Charcoal for your terrarium should be porous and absorbent, and you want it to get rid of any impurities. Activated charcoal, also known as activated carbon, is best for terrariums and is available in different forms such as powders, pellets, and capsules. Okay, that should be enough. And then the next thing we're going to do is add some cactus soil. You could add some moss at this point, and that's going to help keep the charcoal in place when it's watered. Next, we're going to add a layer of cactus soil or another well-draining soil into the container. So what exactly is activated charcoal? Well, it's charcoal that's been treated to open up tiny pores between the carbon atoms, making it extremely porous. It is treated at a very high temperature and is made by reburning charcoal made from organic material like hardwood or coconut shells. The results are a very fine and lightweight charcoal that is highly porous. It can absorb up to 200 times its weight and claims to absorb certain toxins and neutralize certain chemicals and funky smells, like compost, for example. It is also used in outdoor soil to soak up pesticide or herbicide spills and is used for filtering drinking water. So the best type of charcoal in a terrarium, I believe, is activated charcoal. Activated charcoal is great for removing odors and toxins from soil. When a terrarium has a closed top, The gases the plants give off, in addition to any chemicals in the soil, can build up and become toxic to the plants. Bacteria can develop in the humidity and cause your closed terrarium to smell. So how do we use activated charcoal in the terrarium? I prefer to use a layer of pea gravel first. This way, the activated charcoal can act as a filter to pull toxins and bacteria from the soil and water and deodorize the terrarium. Using activated charcoal at the base of your terrarium or pot can help prevent overwatering while keeping pests away and minimizing the chances of fungal and bacterial growth. And we're going to go ahead and add some beautiful plants. And be sure to use succulents that have similar light and water requirements. A chopstick or a boba straw is helpful in making space for them. You're going to go ahead and nestle each plantlet into the soil one at a time. When you water your terrarium, make sure that you water it lightly and gently. Don't water so much that it collects in the bottom. A terrarium acts like a miniature greenhouse, so the water will condense on the sides and then on the top and then drip back onto the plants. So water only when the plants and soil look dry. If your terrarium does not have a top, water when needed. If you use succulents, remember that they come from hot, arid climates, so don't overwater. Make sure you do not put your terrarium in direct light, since the sun will burn the plants through the glass. Prune when needed and turn the terrarium occasionally if the leaves lean toward the light. With a little care, your new terrarium will last a long time. Now there's different types of charcoal. There's activated charcoal, which is great for growing plants in terrariums like we discussed earlier, because it absorbs the extra water and it traps carbon-based impurities from gases and liquids. It's basically the main use of activated charcoal is to keep the standing water sweet, meaning not smelly or stinky or rotten. There's also a horticulture charcoal, and it's great for plants that prefer moist environments such as ferns or orchids. It's a lightweight material that may improve soil by improving drainage and increasing the soil's moisture retaining capabilities. It doesn't absorb water as well as activated charcoal, but it still has excellent benefits for the soil and helps keep the necessary nutrients in the soil. I like to use a small brush to remove any of the soil on top of the plants. Now, I also get asked if grilling charcoal or barbecue charcoal or charcoal briquettes can be used, and they are not recommended for plants as they are not porous, and even worse, they can end up increasing the pH levels in the soil. They contain contaminants that can be harmful to plants, and unfortunately, they just don't have the same function as activated charcoal or horticulture charcoal. Now, you can buy the activated charcoal for terrariums at an aquarium or a fish store. Just make sure it's not some mixed media filter charcoal. You really only need charcoal if you plan on keeping a closed terrarium, though a lot of people will say it's not even necessary. I personally think it's great to use in either one, so it's really up to you. This next step is optional but highly recommended. I like to add river rocks for decor. You can also add moss and add extra color with the moss. It also helps to absorb toxins and moisture. This will give your terrarium a finished look. Actually going to take those out, add some rocks first. Okay. Another thing that works really well if you don't have a knitting loom is these boba straws. I don't even drink boba, but these work really good. Probably too tall. Go. Super cute. Thanks so much for joining us on Moody Blooms. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this content, and we'll see you next time on Moody Blooms.